Well, that's cool.
I was confused by your message. What is the SIG?
Special interest group.
Okay.
And so we just got we're formally a part of OpenSSF now, and so they created a SIG for us, and they gave us a new meeting link as a result.
Okay, that makes sense.
Jay is logged into the old Zoom
To
thing
redirect people
to
here.
redirect people. Yeah.
Do we need to update that link in anywhere in the repo? I don't know.
I think what Jay is saying is, because I asked him that, and he suggested that we just always point people to the OpenSSF calendar.
Okay.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Adrian.
Hi. Right, let's see here. Hi, Isaac, how are you?
I'm on mute, but I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Nice. I'm doing well as well.
Excellent, good to see you again. I've just been redirected here by Jay, who's hanging out in the lobby in the other Zoom room, like sending people your way.
Yeah. Yeah, we're low tech around here, have to,
I kind of love
somebody
it.
out there
It's
with a
like,
sign.
yeah, it's like in person, handcrafted artisanal 301 redirects. I dig it. It's a very thoughtful approach.
And Jason, my apologies. What company are you with? I'm taking.
Hello, I'm with Chainguard.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Adrian.
Yeah, likewise.
Excellent, excellent.
And I should start sharing my screen. That would be helpful. Share. Okay. And Azim, what company are you with? Okay. So we've got a new, I need to find the chat. Always. I don't understand why the Zoom controls disappeared on me. Clearly, they're here, but then clearly they're not. I want to share a link to this document. Hopefully, hey, David, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. How are you?
Doing great.
Right on.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Just trying to do lots of preparations for the big week next week. You know, KubeCon.
Oh, woo! Very cool.
Yeah. Hmm.
So our I guess I'll go ahead and get started. I was waiting for Jay. Jay, you're back.
I am back. Okay, good. I gave everyone 5 minutes, 5 minutes on the other link. Welcome all. This is our, I'm not sure if Adrian, you did this already.
No.
This is
Go
our
for it.
initial, and this is our initial SIG meeting under the Supply Chain Integrity Working Group under the Open SSF. So we made it this far, people. We are now officially part of the Open SSF, and this is our opening meeting for it. Congratulations to everyone that's been involved. Exciting times ahead. Adrian, did you post it? So there's a new link to the document, of course.
Yeah.
What we did was, go ahead.
I just didn't put it in the chat. I can't seem to open up the Zoom controls because I'm sharing. So
Yeah, I got you. I got it.
okay.
What we did was we kept all the meeting notes from the prior meetings, and we made sure, so it's for continuity purposes, so that we can see where we've been and continue to know where we're going. So we did that. Please kindly put your name in the attendance portion so we know you're here. Also tell a friend to tell a friend. I've reached out to a few of the working groups already to let them know that this is the few of the working groups that have expressed interest in making sure that they're a part of what we do here, so that they can aptly join and we can have like 100 people in this SIG meeting, 1,000 people. But good enough. Here we are. Our agenda items for today, and I think we might be adding to that, but really meeting cadence, because right now we've been doing once a month under the old community meeting and technical meeting. Both happened once a month, so I think this meeting could go twice a month, right, to support both. Wanted to also discuss spinning off into different meetings, whether it be how we position this, what the actual specification is. So kind of what Salsa's doing on that side, which I thought was really cool. They spun off and did a positioning meeting, a specification meeting, and a tooling meeting. I also proposed an additional meeting that discusses not just the S2C2F and Salsa together, but also talks about guac, talks about this other maturity model that's being worked in the CDF, that talks about all these different elements that could pretty much be bridged and blended together to create this wonderful supply chain security framework and compliance requirement, compliance specification document. So those are just some of the ideas that spin around in my head. All should be discussed here in this forum, right? That being said, also we want to do a blog announcement as well, right? And I think there's one that happens through the Open SSF. The thing we wanted to craft one here as well. We wanted to make sure that we did our due diligence to our home organization, Microsoft, would allow a blog post to be done there to talk about how we made it into the Open SSF, what that looks like, and then of course, Open SSF's post, kind of like a handshake and or a high five, so to speak, in terms of the accomplishment from both parties. And of course, Adrian put up an issue, how taking one part of the controls and moving them from one level to the other level, from level 2 to level 3. And he can explain that a little bit further too. And then of course, any other topics that anyone has that they want to bring up. That being said, I'll stop here. Questions, comments, and then Adrian.
I think the one other thing to announce is the renaming of the framework. Do you want to talk to that, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can credit Ava for that. I believe Ava's on the call. They were instrumental in this. So we had a lot of names floating around. The Samba was at some point, and I didn't know how I felt about that. But what we came up with was because it was OSS SSC. So we came up with well, this is a consumption framework. So we said supply chain. Secure supply chain consumption framework. So S2C2F, and that was, like I said, courtesy of Ava. And here we are, right? So that's what we changed it to. And the reason for that is because, heavily Microsoft branded in the offset. That doesn't work when we bring it into the open. When we bring it into the open, it's got to be done in the open. So the name changes. We drop all the branding. We keep the license, of course. The license allows us to do something real cool here shortly. And of course, I'll speak to that in subsequent meetings. But there's something real cool getting ready to occur that we can talk about. But what this does is it allows us to do it in the open. Takes all the branding stuff off, and it truly makes it something that we can all be proud of across the industry, right? So there that is. Yeah. Questions about that? Concerns about that?
One thing I'm wondering about the naming is the intent to keep this separate from Salsa and have the OpenSSF have 2 supply chain frameworks, one called Salsa and one called S2C2F? I asked because I was kind of imagining there's potentially a chance to merge them and say, hey, this is how OpenSSF thinks about supply chain in general, and we have a great framework which speaks to this problem space, rather than having 2 separate ones, and folks are going to wonder where one ends and the other begins.
So that's a good question. Making sure that these 2 remain separate. They bridge together, but they do different things. This is every bit of a security framework, a consumption-based security framework. Meanwhile, Salsa is every bit of a producer-focused compliance, a set of compliance requirements that you're attesting to, right? So we want to make sure that line, that delineation is clear. Now, where they bridge together is this from an ingestion standpoint, right? So if you go all the way back to the beginning to ingestion, this can help support a lot of the security requirements that could lead into some of the attestation documents that are generated during the build phase through Salsa. And then of course, when we talked about before, as I talked about before, you had Guac, which takes the attestation and all the other stuff and builds a graph around those things. There's also this maturity model that takes that stuff and then allows you to build an archive or life cycle of these artifacts, going in throughout deployment and different releases and then end of life, which is another piece, right? So there is a bridging of a lot of these different controls, a lot of these different ideas and requirements that can be blended together. But I wanted to make sure that for the purposes of working on them both, that's why these are both under the supply chain integrity working group, so that they can be worked on side by side, maintaining independence, but realizing a clear bridge between the both of these.
And what's the goal of maintaining them as separate things? Well, I mean, just from a cognitive load perspective, like for instance, let me get concrete. I could imagine Salsa today has levels for source, for build, and for provenance.
Mhm.
One of the criticisms of Salsa is it doesn't have a set of levels for vulnerability management, and it doesn't have a set of levels for dependency management.
Right.
And it could well be that S2C2F could be a set of levels which we snap into an Uber framework, and we have one framework, and there's a set of levels for build, for provenance, for source, for dependencies, for vulnerability management, and they sit together in one Uber framework. And I recognize that we have today Salsa, which started with build and provenance, and S2C2F, which started with open source dependency management. But I'm saying, can we imagine a world where we up level, we zoom out and go, what if we wanted to produce one framework which spoke to the entire solution space, what would that look like? And how would we blend these together rather than maintaining them as separate? And so I guess I'm pushing a little bit on why do we think they should live indefinitely as separate things?
So you're pushing into an area that we've already envisioned. So I'll take your whole world, and I'll say, imagine a universe where we have an ISO specification -1, -2, -3, and -4 even, where all of these things live under the same ISO specification. They do different things, but they're bridged together to create that one international supply chain security framework specification and standard like you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we do them in a way where we can get them through the pass submission process successfully.
And if you had this ISO specification with 3 parts to it, what would you call the overall ISO thing? Can we name that now and say, hey, we've got this Uber thing, and it has these parts to it. It has the Salsa build provenance part, it has the S2C2F part, and it has some other parts. Like, I guess I'm kind of saying, why do we see these as needing to live on independently rather than being 2 parts of the same thing?
So that ties into one of the meetings that I said we can have, where we have one larger meeting that we bring the discussion of all of these together into, and in that meeting we can come up with that kind of that kind of information. But that shouldn't be done in this meeting by ourselves. That should be done with the conglomerate together as we march into the processes later on, where we go towards this very specific process that has to happen for the ISO specification. And as we merge into that process, a lot of these things should be discussed amongst the conglomerate. There should be kind of a consensus that says, yes, we're going to do this. And then we take all of that we've produced at that time and merge it on over into the other side of things as we march towards the ISO specification.
I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense.
Isaac, when I tell you,
saying we have to wait for the ISO thing, because I think this makes it, even if we were not going for ISO, even if ISO had never been invented and the 3 letters never mentioned together, I think having a single framework which holds these pieces together within the OpenSSF makes sense. And so what you said made perfect sense, and like, yeah, it sounded great to me until you said, but we'll wait until we're ready for ISO for that. And
no. Now wait until we're ready for ISO. So God, I don't want to give away too much here. There's a very specific process for that, and it doesn't even need to start here.
Right. So I'm saying, independent of anything we might want to do with ISO, let's take ISO out of the conversation. My argument is there is still value in figuring out how these snap together into a coherent whole with one single name.
Absolutely. So I'll preface that by saying this. There's a lot of work to be done on both. This one is probably a little more evolved than Salsa is currently. For scoping of both documents, I think the success is making sure that we're able to have a clear train of thought when we're working them separately.
Mhm.
Have that one meeting when we come together and talk about how we position both docs together, bridging them together, including the other pieces that I mentioned before too, because those are some exciting pieces as well, right? And we can all evangelize and think about those things together. Come up with all the stuff you're talking about in that one instance. And then when we get ready and we got the clear to move over to a specification, we can take all that we worked on here over there.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
so. I think we're agreed. And to be honest, I mean, and I'll talk to Kim about this. My preference is that the meeting that we currently called salsa positioning should upscope and be a positioning meeting at the supply chain integrity working group level. And so it should be that meeting in which we figure out how
Mhm.
these pieces fit together. What do we call it? How do we map the
Absolutely.
problem space and the solution space and the mapping between them? And so right now we have a meeting called salsa positioning. I'd rather
Yeah.
have that called supply chain positioning or something, and have that forum consider how do we
Absolutely.
merge together S2C2F and the salsa. Because I agree that like
Yeah.
this meeting here isn't the right forum to, doesn't have the right scope to go, you know, what's this bigger thing called? But okay, I hear you, Jay, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
Jason, yeah.
Yeah, I had a question, and I agree with Isaac's comments. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of chasing ISO, but can you clarify to me, would ISO be adopting Salsa and S2C2F? I mean, from my experience with ISO, they would have their own framework and they wouldn't be they would be more agnostic to something like this.
Oh
Does that make
God,
sense?
we are going down the rabbit hole, but I'll answer the question though.
Mhm.
You're right. Yes. So the caveat to that is nothing says we can't continue to evolve frameworks here while we work for specification there, right? So the answer to your question is yes, but this still lives right here under the open SSF, especially for the purposes of evolving the frameworks, later on releases, etc. For the purposes of ISO, if that point comes, or when we get to that point, totally for specification purposes, going through the past submission process and everything else on that end. But everything that we do regarding the updating, evolving, and everything else can be done right here. They both can live in two different instances. As many ISO specifications out right now does. They live in different instances. They're under one name where they're being maintained and worked on, and then they're under another name or number, another name and number under ISO.
Okay.
Ava?
Just chiming in to point out a parallel here. SPDX, right? There's the SPDX group within the LF. It is also an ISO standard. There's a pathway there, and I heard a couple different terms talked about just now. My understanding is there is not a proposal to have ISO adopt one of these as its, for its own use, but to say, here is an ISO number, this is an ISO standard, there's a path to get approval for that, for things like this.
Yes.
That's the discussion, not, make ISO use it across all of their own tooling. I don't know if that was clear. I may have misheard some other people's words. So
You're spot on, Ava. And I didn't want to do this on this meeting, but when I said we got some exciting stuff coming, I mean, this is what that's kind of what I was talking about. We had these meetings off, so there's a lot of stuff that's happened, a lot of stuff that's been happening. and we've asked these questions. We've got these answers. I didn't want to bring it up here because I wanted the focus of this to be our cadence for this. Everyone getting, for the first time coming in, let's, I didn't want to put the cart before the horse, although we've been putting the cart before the horse. I didn't want to put the cart before the horse, but we've been filling the cart up.
I like that analogy. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, cool.
Just quickly before we move on, did you mention you'd been having conversations with ISO already about this?
Actually, we've been having conversations with the precursors to ISO. So how do we get things stood up? What do we have to get the ball moving in that direction? And understand that's for no other purpose than to bring. So my thought on this is, if we build it, they will come, right? So Isaac, the way that in your idea of why can't these be together? So yes, I'm all about that life. So my thought is, you've heard me say nothing short of that, right? What I'm thinking now is, how do I make it more clear? Fine, let's put the infrastructure in place. Let's go back to these different work streams and different SIGs and say, hey, we got it stood up. We got it ready to go. All you got to do is come along. What say you? And then let the vote happen based off of something that's tangible versus just an idea.
Got it.
Okay, cool. By the way, there was a chance that, for issue number 8, that we were going to have somebody from OSCL come today and present to us what OSCL is and all that sort of thing. So hopefully we will reschedule this for next time. I wanted to show that we only have 2 issues now. We've marked a bunch of them as closed. And when you look at our specification.
Oh, by the way, this is going to change, right? So I think we're going to be moving. We're going to be moving the repo, or we have to be changing the name of the repo or moving the repo over.
Yeah, we have to figure out the logistics on that.
Yeah, so you'll see that highlighted in red on the on the notes page, and that's because those are the items that take us a little bit longer to get done properly. But we're going to be moving things around a bit.
Gotcha. So Jasmine on the call here helped with addressing the 4 different GitHub issues that were marked about, changing our definition of open source, and removing copyright language and things of that nature. We've also removed the word Microsoft from the title and from all other places, getting it ready to transition over. And so you could see that we've got this nice change log here, showing the breadcrumbs of what was changed. This was also done through pull request, and so you can see that the word Microsoft is no longer here. So those are the changes that were recently done to address those issues. And the only other issue I wanted to talk about with the community here is this. Currently, I have deny list as a requirement to block, known malicious packages, and I have it in level 2. And that doesn't align with the theme of level 2. Level 2 is all about improving your mean time to remediate vulnerabilities, whereas level 3 is all about protecting your team or your organization from accidental consumption of malicious packages. And so I have this suggestion here of move deny list from level 2 to level 3. The requirement itself doesn't change. It's just simply placing it in the right maturity level. Do we have any, I guess, concerns or does anybody have any thoughts about this? Otherwise, I think we can just kind of go ahead and make this change and group this requirement appropriately. Sounds good. Thanks, Ganti, for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Vote of confidence. All right. Here. No objections. Going forward with the change. Okay, other than that, I don't have any other planned topics today. We're real excited to be part of the OpenSSF. I'm working on a blog announcement on my side. I don't know that we have any sort of like deadline, but we need to coordinate about when these blog announcements will go out, because I believe the OpenSSF wants to do one as well.
What did we say about meeting? So we have this one for the third Tuesday, but what do we say about and let's keep this time because this is a time that everyone knows right now. But are we good with the doing it every other Tuesday? Is that something that we can do?
Yeah, I'm good with like a more like bi-weekly cadence, twice a month. I like that personally. Anybody else?
I could make either work. I'm stoked to have this in the OpenSSF, and I'd love to keep momentum up. But I realize that everyone is super busy, and my calendar is also full of other OpenSSF meetings. So I'm easy with either. But I'd be reluctant to lose momentum on this because it's super important, and there's a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Okay, and David chimed in bi-weekly as well.
Great.
All right, so every other Tuesday at 12. That's what we'll run with. I'll make sure that that meeting gets updated on the OpenSSF calendar.
Weekly Tuesdays at 12. Great. I'm going to delete this then so there's no confusion.
Come on, Ganti. You know
Lunch.
I can't.
Virtual lunch. Yeah.
You know, get you an Uber Eats certificate. Is that would that work? A GitHub certificate? I'm not GitHub. Grubhub. Grubhub.
Yeah.
Gift certificate.
Just
All right.
Which hat are you wearing today, Ganti? That's what I want to know. Which hat you wearing today?
What is that? What is that, Jake?
Which hat are you wearing today?
Oh, me, my traditional Kangol fisherman's hat.
That's what I'm talking about. The Kangol. That's what I'm talking about.
Go.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. Yeah, there we are. There we are.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So I guess in future meetings, we'll try to have that that person from that representative from OSCO come to one of these meetings to share and present. And if anybody has any ideas for future topics, please feel free to jump into this doc and add it in.
Yeah, do we have that area up there for them to add in future agenda items? Is that still there?
Proposed
Yep, there it
topic
is right there, yeah.
meetings. Yeah. Yep. So here we go. Happy October. It's almost Halloween. Hope you got all your costumes ready.
I think
Yeah,
Abhishek had a question. Abhishek, do you have a question about the description of the maturity levels? Are you able to pull the framework down from the GitHub site?
Yeah, I just found I looked for themes and found it in the repo. Thanks. Can you
I was
hear
just
me?
going to ask if you could open up access to the doc.
This doc? Yeah.
If there's a doc with like proposed agenda items and notes and all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
I think that's this one, right?
I think it's the one we're looking at. But I clicked on the link that Jay shared at the top of the chat, and I got access tonight.
Oh,
you don't have access to it. All right, no worries, no worries. Did you request access? I can do that for you right this very second. Yeah, there we go. And Mike too. All right, so.
okay.
Cheers, Jay. Appreciate it.
Yeah. You also just reminded me, I think we have a link to the old doc here. So I'll remove this from the README in the repo. And Jay, do we need to update these? Did we get a new Slack?
I already updated the Slack.
Okay.
But so yeah, so I would assume that if you clicked on that, it would go. It will go to no. It may not. I need to update that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to update that as well. So that's a couple of. Well, I think all that'll be updated when we move over to the new repo. I mean, I'm not sure how that part works.
Yeah. Who do we need to talk to about the transition?
I'll talk to Khalil about that as well. I'll be on my list of things that I reach out to Khalil about ops. I'll reach out to ops, and hopefully Khalil or whoever else is over there will respond to that.
Logistics of moving the repo.
I got your request to update it as well, Mike.
Great. Sweet. Mike gave the silent thumbs up. All right then. Fantastic. I see everybody's smiling faces in here.
Hopefully, the next meeting we should have a whole. I mean, I'm talking about so many more people in here. It's not even funny. So it's going to be bananas in here. The whole end users working group is coming. So fun times ahead. Fun times ahead.
Yes. All right. Excellent. Yeah, please drop in proposed topics. Looking forward to it. And thank you, everybody.
Thank
Cheers
you.
all.
Thanks. Bye.
Woohoo. All right. Bye, everybody. Now I just gotta stop the shit.
And then there's us.
Us. Hey, good stuff. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot more activity very, very soon. It's gonna get nuts.
I mean, it's good though. It's good. One of the things that, like, when we talked about this before, one of the things that we do have to do is figure out, and this is after I talk with, we got that meeting at the end of the week. And then once we talk with Rex to figure out formatting, we also got to discuss how we want to change up the way things are written just to support the next phase of things.
Okay.
Just support the next, yeah, because I don't want anything holding that up. No stuff that we can't take care of.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
take care of it. Let's take care of it. If it's outlying circumstances or extraneous circumstances, and that's what it is. But if it's what we can take care of, let's take care of it.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna get off this recorded call, and
Yeah.
I will talk to you all later.
Cool.
All right. Bye.